Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Backseat Designers. I know, right? But we gotta do it. Gotta do this weekly thing. Anyway, remember last episode how that didn't really get off the ground because we were, drunk and tired and drunk. This is basically the same thing. What we're planning to do is to bring a guest in and talk about something called adaptive sound design. But he is drunk off his ass in the green room, apparently. Probably fondling up a few studio technicians as well, male and or female. So
I love where your mind is going with this. I mean, this is really, because all I had going was the dude drunk off his ass doesn't have time to set up his computer and be smart. And
that may also have happened, but I like getting down to the core of the truth here.
This is going to be one of those really, really great episodes where one of us is drunk off his ass and the other one is trying to rein the other one in. So everyone who's out there listening or watching, stay tuned. This is going to be fantastic. Because
Trolls is very drunk and he's also very aggressive as his mic just broke off, which may or may not be a euphemism.
No, this is not just a euphemism.
I will, however, say that last night we did, appropriately, we did a Let's Play of Late Last Night, which was completely improvised. We basically decided to do a hangout 10 minutes after saying someone should do a Let's Play. And I think we were both pretty intoxicated.
Well, you were more than I was, and at this point, I think we're kind of, repaying the effort. I am probably, let's say, just slightly inebriated, and you're the gracious kind of, let's say, the purveyor of a calm sense of. Do you see this thing just hanging off my neck?
That thing dangling there, and I'm gonna leave that vague for the audio version. Completely
right.
No sense in them. So until our guest joins us, how about we just?
Well, she's not going to, and this is why I'm so fucking aggravated.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to have a guest on our show tonight. Talking about how to influence game sounds by not having the game itself influence the sound, but
Sam. What he was going to talk about was having the audio influence what happens in the game.
That's what I was about to say.
No, you said he was going to let the game sound influence the sound.
No, I was going to say the other one. He was going to talk about how to let the sounds of the game influence the actual gameplay.
Oh, well, why didn't you just fucking say that?
I didn't. Things. Things and.
Case in point, he might drop in. He's promised as much. In case he doesn't, what we're going to do after we roll the intro.
What I'm going to say on the air is this guy is absolutely... I'm not going to say that on the air. No,
he's a very nice man, I'm sure.
No, yeah, he is a very nice man. But
as you know, we're dedicated professionals, so we're a tiny bit.
Oh, of course, yeah.
In fact, Trolls only started drinking once I said that I had an idea that our guest might not turn up after all, and that got him so angry that he just instantly went for the beer. And as you can hear, I'm trying to help myself.
This is why I went for the absolutely cheap German beer that it's as much garbage disposal squeezy kind of thing as it is beer.
So anyway, I have a funny.
Just join the fucking hangout, dude. I mean, how fucking hard is this? I even put on a fucking hat for you.
Will you get back behind your piano? Because tonight I'm David fucking Letterman. Anyway,
right, dude,
I was going to say that what I think we should do is, and this is your own idea, so it's probably approved by the historian.
Really?
Yeah.
This is my idea.
I think it is. We're gonna roll the intro first and foremost, and then we're gonna talk about the original subject before we got stood up by this guy, which is
right.
Okay. Into sound effects, and then total adventure game talky voice mayhem.
Right. So we're going to talk about sound effects and voices in games, like voice talents and stuff.
Yeah.
The other parts. Right. All right. So intro.
Yeah.
Of course, you know what you got when the singing dragon fell into the dwarf mine, a flat miner. And on that note, let's change the subject.
Fuck! Fucking Rørbæk, jeg giver dig så mange tæsk, virtuelle tæsk.
That's Danish for I'm totally enjoying doing this episode. And boom, we're back!
Oh my god! Please don't do that ever again. I am so shocked. Wait, let me just...
Yeah, you gotta cope, man. Therapy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have the IRC channel window here.
I do. Wilco Webb, that means Kevin Wallace, is asking, what's your beer preference? Now, that's an interesting question. Before we get into our main topic, let's just get this out of the way. What is your beer preference? Not this.
No,
I'm holding this up to the camera right now.
I'm with him. I'm very much a microbrewery man. You know, I don't really mind if I'm drinking a pale ale or a stout or a pilsner or a lager. You know, as long as it tastes like good craftsmanship. And you know, I'll admit that I like a nice quadruple occasionally as well. You know, give me something with 10% or more alcohol.
For me, it's anything that's been brewed on, you know, hops and things that will make you drunk. And but I will say that this thing that I'm carrying right now is not my thing of choice. This is something that I bought in Aldi, which is a Danish store known for.
We've come full circle. But they brew some shit in Germany too.
Ah, true. But this one has a now. This is your warning sign. If you ever buy a beer that has a screw-on, screw-off tap, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're fucked. You might as well just go for heroin rather than drinking that crap.
Because I have 3 of these fucking things.
And I'm on an ordinary pilsner from the local brewery. So
are you like holding that thing upside down?
What? No, it's not upside down. Oh my god!
It looks like you're holding a thing upside down.
No, it's not.
All right. Cool.
Well, anyway.
So anyway, that was a very good question. Thank you, Kevin. We're very glad to have you on the IRC channel as we're debating this because at this point, I'm just going to, you know, let my compatriot here take over the show and start us off talking about sound effects because one, you know, our special guest didn't join, and I'm kind of, you know, pissed off about that.
Again,
and second,
he might join, but we're trying to utilize the time we've got.
Yeah.
You know,
the next time I'm gonna see that dude, I'm gonna kick him in the fucking shins.
Could you kick him to the shits and tie him to a chair, and then he'll be there for the duration of the next episode?
That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of. I'm not actually gonna do that, but I like the way your mind works.
Me too.
Have you noticed how, you know, viewers on the RC channel, have you guys noticed how this thing is just like dangling off my headphones?
Bill's gonna keep it ambiguous for the audio version, folks. Those of you listening currently have no idea what is dangling. But if you've been following, you know that he doesn't like to wear pants. No, I'm just
All
saying.
right. Okay.
That's
To hell of this. To hell of
it's
this.
Nolan-esque.
All right. Fuck this. Let's just get into the topic that might alleviate my sense of that thing that starts with this and
You're a
such.
wet willy. Anyway, sound effects isn't really a big subject. I'd like to say that I think we covered, game audio history fairly well in, focusing on music, but still, I mean, we've been through the whole PC speaker, ad-lib, Tandy, Sound Blaster thing. But something that we did talk about briefly before we got going is that basically lots of games have, vintage games especially, I guess, owing to disk space and physical media space, have lots of shit playing out in silence, picking up stuff, looking at it. There is just a different kind of feedback when you have a sound. It's easy to have a button that doesn't click, but if it clicks, it just feels more satisfactory. And obviously, this is way before touch entered. This is before tablets and smartphones and touch screens and whatnot. So you kind of needed to, I would say, you needed to throw everything and the kitchen sink at your game to provide a decent level of feedback.
One thing I thought that Day of the Tentacle did right was whenever you picked up an item, it just went. Which was so much fun because it just sounded like you. First of all, they tried to put you in the sense that you were in a cartoon, so whenever you picked up something, it just went, and that was absolutely awesome. And I don't think
audio feedback, man. Yeah.
Sorry. It was great audio feedback.
Yeah. And then I cut you off. You were going to say something else.
No, it's just that any other game would never think to put in audio feedback for you picking up an item or interacting with an item. The one thing that springs to mind is, the first Gabriel Knight game, when you go to pick up the newspaper and he just goes. Whenever you turn the page, there's this really awkward kind of sound effect. It was just go, no, stop playing that. I know how you're, turning the page and such. I
think our guest is here.
Our fucking guest just a fucking call. Jesus. Hey,
you interrupted our fucking conversation about sound effects.
Dude, are you actually here, or am I just imagining fucking shit?
He's here without.
I am just imagining fucking shit. I am really.
Lock the screen to him. You'll just have to read lips here.
All right, I'm actually going to do that.
Yeah.
Hello.
We cannot hear you.
Dude, turn on your microphone.
As we are introducing our guest here, it's a Brogan FM radio.
You piece of shit.
I suppose you're not the only one who has a faulty mic.
Bjørn, are you there? Did you just cough, or was that you?
That was me sniggering. If we had a talk show, we would have been cancelled by the network by now.
This whole don't censor, don't edit thing that we've got going? We might want to rethink that.
Is this going to be one of those things where we look at the video afterwards and then we look at Bjørn's mouth movements and then we try to dub him? You know me, I do a pretty mean Cedric.
That would actually be fun, yeah. I love
that he's looking very went.
And he just fucking left. All right, so all he did was fucking distract us.
He was looking very happy while it lasted. I suppose he's off to cry about not having a microphone that works and maybe coming up with an alternative.
That was great. I mean, seriously, thank you, Bjørn, for joining us.
That was the best fucking guest appearance on any show ever. And as Wilco was pointing out, this is the best sound design discussion ever. And I think it's brilliant. Yeah. We're going to talk about voice acting, and then this guy shows up and he doesn't have a voice.
This is absolutely brilliant. I have no qualms about this whatsoever. Thank you, you fucking idiot. I look forward to
telling me that he will be reappearing shortly. I guess it's back. I guess it's back to the original discussion.
Right. So let's just cap off the sound effects discussion, because that's not really that interesting. Sound effects, when they're not there, that's when you get kind of distracted. That's when you when you pick up something, you don't actually need to hear, you know, the keys jacking across the desk drawer and such. But when you open a door, when you scrape something across the floor, when you do something in the game, you expect to hear a sound effect. And whenever that shit is not there, that's when the immersion kind of breaks out.
Yeah, because immersion is the key word, and we've been down this road so many fucking times, and we keep coming back to it, but it is really fucking important. You know, in my opinion, you cannot tell a good interactive story without immersion. You know, whether you manage to immerse the player via text or via graphics and sound, you know, different story, but use the tools at your disposal. I feel as if every single season 2 episode boils down to that point all the time. So let's just.
It does, but it's not an unimportant point. It is because when we're talking about games that are story driven and games that try to immerse you in a story, the thing that we keep coming back to is that it's not per se about the writing. It's not per se about the puzzle design. It's not per se about the graphics. It is about the immersion.
Graphics and game journalism.
Oh, you fucking... you piece of shit. Anyway, it is about immersion, and immersion is drawn from all of these different elements of game design. It is about the writing, it is about the character design, it is about the graphics, it is about the and if one of those things falls apart, if one of those things becomes detrimental to your involvement within a story, then that takes you away. It takes you away from, you know, I am not just sitting around here playing a game. This is me just playing around with my mouse. This is not just me playing around with my mouse playing a game. This is actually
the audio version is awesome at this point. You know, the audio version is awesome. You've been fiddling with your dick, which is hanging and dangling, and you're playing with a mouse.
It's not actually my dick, but it is dangling.
Dude, you broke the.
Would you like to see my dick?
No, I would not like to see your dick.
I can totally show you my dick.
No, I would not like to see your dick. I would like to talk about another kind of
game journalism.
I would like to talk about Cedric, and I would like to talk about voices, because I think you made some awesome points there about sound effects. And the other major subject, while we wait for this guy to get his shit together, would be...
He's not going to get his shit together, drunk bastard.
Let Toby get a certain amount of shit together. Yeah, I love the idea of a guy who works with music not having a microphone at his disposal.
Oh, that is fantastic. Just disable the fucking microphone, you piece of shit.
Anyway,
we
comment over on the IRC channel. I suppose there's no need to introduce voice acting. And again, we've been through the historical aspect of it. Adventure games with voice in it, I would say, started appearing probably with King's Quest V in the early 90s. You know, there have been some early examples, but they were kind of primordial. You know, Access did some great little experiments, but they were experiments. You know, it wasn't a full game with voice, was it?
But actually, you know, for a kid back in, because I was like 13 or 14 when you know, Martian Memorandum came out. Was that like 93? I think it was 92 or 93.
Yeah, I don't think it was 93. I think it was a bit earlier. So yeah, you must have been.
I was like yeah, I was 93. No, I was like 13 years old when that thing came out, and looking at that and just going, oh my God, these people's mouths are moving, and actual sound is coming out of their out of my fucking PC speakers.
Out of their orifices.
Out of. Wow, you took that to a different place, didn't you? But that was such a fantastic. I mean, everyone who's listening to this podcast who is like maybe like 10, we'll just go, well, that's kind of be expected, people in games talk and shit. No, back in the day, this was a huge thing. I mean, people were actually talking at you in games, and we are talking about games that fit on 1.44 floppy drives.
We're talking about shit like digitized sound effects and digitized voice being major selling points.
Dear God.
3D realistic graphics. The pixels are only as big as your average house. That was what we had.
Exactly. So having voices in games, and let's just put this in a historical perspective, as we all want to do. Having voices in games started out with the fact that you could not have voices in games because games were distributed on floppy disks. So if you wanted to have a full voice kind of thing, you would have to ship that thing on so many floppy disks that it wasn't, economically feasible or even, logistically feasible.
The point being that the compression of that time wasn't as advanced as it would be later. MP3 hadn't become a thing yet. I don't know if you had MP2 or even MP1 at that point.
No.
Audio compression, but if you listen to shit like Sierra's early talkies, you'll notice that the audio there's often a lot of static, and the sound quality is all over the place. I suppose the compression wasn't perfect, but even at very, very low quality, I think King's Quest V has speech that is in like 11 kilohertz, 8-bit. Even that is too big for a floppy disk.
That's true. Another point of just having speech or having digitized sounds in games was just a matter of bit rate and quality. And by this stage, 2015, massive games, 80 gigabytes and such. We're totally used to having high quality, high fidelity voices, and we even rag about those voices like, that's not good enough. This actor is just reading up. Back in those days, just the fact that someone's voice was coming out of your speaker and it was like 11 kilohertz, it was 8-bit. Every time they made the S sound, it just went instead of. It was mind blowing at the time.
It absolutely was.
And never mind the fact that when you played Martian Memorandum, for example, Martian Memorandum is the example I keep going back to, because that is not only the first game when I ever heard digitized speech in a proper way, it was also the first time that I saw digitized actors actually trying to act out their shit.
They also did that. We've covered FMV, and I think we said it at that point too, but Access really did a lot of very early quantum leaps, which I still find that ridiculously inventive and awesome of them.
We have to give Access Software a lot of credit, because not only did they push the envelope, you might say they led us down the wrong path. You might say they focused too much on technology and not enough on actual gameplay. You might say a lot of things, and you might be wrong, you might be right. But the fact is, they pushed MCGA was turned to VGA. They pushed full motion video when that wasn't even a thing. They pushed digital audio when that wasn't even a thing. Access Software deserves a lot of fucking credit.
Latest word from our
drunk, by the way.
Latest word from our guest is, and I quote, "I'm trying to get something working."
The fucker just joined us. This is now on him.
Yeah, the key word for this is ambiguity. Anyway, we've now been down the historical path, and as you say, once voices started appearing, that was, ridiculously awesome. Anyway, we got a request for a subject on the IRC channel, which is Kevin, again, Wilco Webb, mentioned the voice actor Dominic Armato, whom I might add is one of my favorite voice actors, because he, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood and a couple of minor characters in a couple of other LucasArts games. But
Dominic can fucking voice the shit out of Guybrush Threepwood, and he will always be Guybrush Threepwood. Even fucking Ron Gilbert has gone on the record saying that Dominic Armato is the voice of Guybrush Threepwood.
Yeah, it's amazing what a voice will do for a person, because even if you play the Monkey Island 2 Special Edition and you revert to the old graphics, you can play it with voices, and even then the castings are just spot on. I mean, Earl Bowen as LeChuck and Dominic Armato as Guybrush Threepwood, I cannot get my arms down. I think these...
Right. Let me say this. Let me say this. If there's one thing that LucasArts had over Sierra Online, it was the fact that they saw voice acting to be a profession, and they saw it as being a professional thing that you had to get professional people to do, rather than just grab anyone off the you know, offices or off the street and just pluck them down in front of the microphone. Yeah, LucasArts understood that voice acting is an art, and you have to put people in front of the microphone and actually have them develop the character and actually do their thing, rather than just, you know, we have voice technology. Wow, this is so amazing. People will be just wowed because we have voice.
Yeah, LucasArts understood this. We've set up a studio in the washroom. Everybody get in. We're recording voices for King's Quest 5.
Just come on in, man. I mean, you're wearing a hat. This is going to be great. People will hear
the toy keeper. You're going to be the toy store keeper. Try to say Ich weiß nicht. Ich weiß nicht. You've got the gig, man. Awesome.
Awesome. Let's go. There is no audition value. There's no. One thing that LucasArts did absolutely well is that not only were they able to drag in people that knew what the fuck they were doing, they also had the ability to make them sound as though they were, you know, acting off each other. I'm pretty sure that Sierra did the same thing, but they didn't. For some reason, it didn't work as well in King's Quest 5 and Space Quest.
Sierra didn't have actors until Gabriel Knight. I mean, Gabriel Knight had some very inspired casting choices. Leia Remini, Tim Curry, Michael Dorn.
Here's the thing about Gabriel Knight. Gabriel Knight had a stellar cast, but it sounded like they were really recorded miles away from each other. They were not interacting with each other.
There was no interaction.
What? Sorry?
There was no interaction, but they did have Virginia Cabers.
No, dude. You know, Wolfgang was just like, you might want to step away from this golem. Oh my god. There was no interaction between. I mean, they all delivered on their own. They all delivered a very, very good performance. Thank you very much. But it wasn't. You couldn't hear these people interact with each other. You couldn't get a sense of interaction between these people. And LucasArts did a very
I don't think US Talkies really got off the ground until I'm interrupting because you said this was gonna be my
rambling. Shit, fuck that.
You're still talking all over the place. So yeah, calling me bitter.
Could you blame me? Anyway, I'm still waiting for a fucking guest to join.
Yeah. Yeah, please don't disappoint us. Anyway.
He already did.
Yeah, he did several times.
A lot.
Sierra didn't really get off the ground with talkies till like King's Quest 6, did they? I mean, for the most part, King's Quest 6 is acted out pretty well, and they got Robbie Benson doing the lead role. Robbie Benson was the voice behind not the Beauty, but the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
I am gonna say this about voice acting. No matter how talented a voice actor you get the best. You can get an A-list actor. You can get the best voice actor in the world. You can get like a Billy West. You can get Tress MacNeille. You can get any one of these people in a studio. If they don't know what the hell they're reacting off to, that's going to suck.
That's true, but that goes for all kinds of acting. You know, there are films out there where you know, you've got a scene with two characters talking to one another, but they're at totally different locations, never faced each other ever. You know, one camera in one studio just filmed this guy, and the other camera in the other studio filmed this guy, and then you just intercut. And
this is how they did Under Killing Moon, which makes that game so awkward if you're not looking at the actual you know, story that unfolds. They filmed each actor separately, and every time someone talks, the other one stays completely silent. They don't just stay silent. It's actually like a cardboard cutout of someone just standing there.
That's true, yeah. And some of the acting in that game is awfully awkward on its own. I can never remember what that Indian guy is called. You know, the guy who's
Russell something.
Yeah, his performance is just mind-bogglingly awful.
Hey, dude, since this is just going off the wire, should we just invite Gareth in? Because he's like on the RSC channel, and
yeah, Gareth, come join,
yeah,
man.
I'm just gonna invite fucking Gareth.
Because Gareth, you didn't get to see this, but when we did the late last night playthrough, late last night, Gareth at one point had everyone in stitches. He just made a remark about his earbuds being cheap. Problem
because
was
he's British.
The guy is the voice of Pete Tolman, so you know.
Don't ruin it for everyone.
Within this span of 5 seconds, he had everyone in stitches.
But I'm sure, as a historian and as a avid gamer, he has something very astute to add to the topic at hand.
He did make a good point over on the RC channel, which I'm going to steal from him, which was that, in all fairness, it is very difficult to, you know, for all we know, the voices of Gabriel Knight were recorded with Tim Curry acting against Mark Hamill. But when you have
they weren't.
I know they weren't. I'm just, you know, hear me out here. For
all right,
sure. It might have been possible. But his point being that, you know, when you have one audio resource file and you have another and you have a 2-second gap where everything kind of has to line up for the next line to be loaded, it will come off as sounding unnatural. And we take it for granted now that you can just have snap-fire dialogue. But back then, loading an audio file into memory to get it ready to play was...
This is such an interesting point. This is a very good point that you're bringing up, and I thank you. I want to hug you. I might even want to do sexual things to you.
You can hug Gareth all you want. Don't hug me.
But the point being that the fundamental flaw behind talkie adventure games is that you have to record people separately. Even if you're recording people together and they're acting off each other, like they did with Grim Fandango. I remember, you know, listening to the audio commentary saying that, you know, the actor who did Manny and the actor who did the other person, they were actually in the studio together and they were bouncing off each other, but they still had to, you know, cut each other off at the same point because the line had to cut off at this and this and this point. You can't have this sort of organic kind of conversation like we're having right now, where I'm cutting you off even though you're trying to speak because you're an absolute asshole and I'm trying to make a point. You have the fun thing about an adventure game would be if you actually had a voice system that would enable you to write something where the voice actors would just sort of carry on. Okay, here's an idea. Have you ever watched the Japanese animated movie Akira?
I don't watch anime, so no, I haven't. Oh, I'm familiar with it. I know of it.
All right. Do you know the organic process within where you know, Western animation, you know, Disney and such, how they record voices for the animated movies that they do? They usually record the voices first and then they animate the things to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The Japanese do it the opposite way. They animate the shit first and then they record the voices to that. However, Akira, the movie, was done in the opposite way. They recorded the voices first and then they animated that to it. So the idea was that you would actually, and you know, the Japanese actors were kind of like, how the fuck is this going to happen? Wow, we're actually doing like sort of a radio theater kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the kind of sense that I want to get into voice recording for an adventure game. Is that this sense that you're not just recording your lines and then someone else is speaking to you and you're just waiting for that, and then you record the next line.
In all fairness, there is a game that does this that I know of, and we've tested it before. But Loom does it. The cutscenes.
No, it doesn't. No.
Come on, the cutscenes are not individual parts. Whenever you have a dialogue, you have a cutscene.
No, they're just line after line after line.
Yeah, explain the fucking music playing when you meet Master fucking Goodmold. It goes in the background. Are you seriously telling me that you've got in one line, and then there is absolutely no single pause between and bullshit? The cutscenes are consecutive.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about voice recording. I'm not talking about the fucking music.
But there is background music to the cutscenes. Master Goodmold comes in and goes, "You break it, you buy it," and
what are we talking about? I'm talking about the interplay between characters.
Hear me out here. You're drunk right now, and on a serious note, it's kind of pissing me off that I'm not getting through to you. But what my point is that Loom does indeed have separate lines. There is a narration in the game, but the events. Looking around. The single lines that occur during gameplay. Yeah, I'm with you there. Those lines are separate and probably in completely different spots on the CD. But whenever you run into a character in Loom, that in effect triggers a cutscene. And as far as I know, if you put in the Loom CD and you listen to it, then every single cutscene is one consecutive track. So they've got the dialogue there because you can tell because there's background music which doesn't cut off in spots, and they still manage to get the text to line up. And this is my point. You can do this, but you need a clear view of the timing, and that's possible once you have a CD that plays at a certain speed because you know how long stuff will last, and you can cue that up with the game. If you're reliant on the CPU power to a bigger extent, then it was more challenging back then. You could probably do it now, depending on how intensive your game is resource-wise.
The only thing I wanted to bring up about that point was, and you are absolutely right, the Loom CD does this because they have this singular track of dialogue where different characters speak on the same track, and then it's up to the game to just sort of sync that up. What I wanted was what I really want is a game that doesn't just trade lines back and forth. Here's a wave file playing, and here's the next character. Here's his wave file playing, and then goes back and forth like we're used to with Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, like we're used to with Air Temple, like we're used to with Space Quest 4. Actually having a system that enables characters to act off of each other instead of just trading lines. That's what I was going for. I'm sorry if I offended you, dude.
No, I'm not really pissed off. I just wanted to get a word in.
Yes, you are. I can tell.
I'm very pissed off. Anyway,
I know.
I just wanted to get a word in that this has happened. And I know for a fact that when the Loom audio drama was done by the same actors, they got everyone in and did, they did a reading together. The actors in the Loom audio drama are acting against each other. Obviously, the game audio would have been a very different session, so I don't know if they did the same thing with the cutscenes. But I'm just noticing that in the cutscenes, the characters do occasionally not cut each other off, but the lines kind of flow into one another very naturally.
That's another point. Having two people converse in an adventure game is usually trading bits and bits, trading lines on and off. I ask something, and then the person responds, and then I say something, and then the person responds. And scripting that is usually a matter of he says this, and then someone else says this, and then he says this, and then he says. Instead of having it sort of be a line trade-off where someone goes, ultimately someone goes into the studio and records his bit of the conversation. Well,
Yeah.
I really did. Instead of doing that, let's just have these two people in the same room. I know. Economically feasible, this is not. But ideologically, having someone react off someone else is just miles apart from just having them trade up. And this is why I want to go back to why games like Gabriel Knight versus games like Sam & Max are worlds apart, because for some reason Sam & Max and basically every LucasArts adventure game actually are just so much better at the shed, really, because even though you have a star-studded cast in Gabriel Knight, they really do sound like they were recorded separately. It does sound like they were just reading off their lines, and they didn't know how the other person talking to them was going to respond. Hello, Tim Curry.
Yeah. I just got a notice from my guest, which is why I was listening. I was trying to listen anyway.
No, you weren't.
But he just told me predictably that he's not going to get his shit together. So he is not going to be able to join us. We're obviously looking into having Gareth join, but Gareth is busy trying to get his shit together too. Basically, this episode is all about getting shit together.
No, it's all about ethics in games journalism.
Boom!
Boom!
I thought you weren't playing anymore, man.
I wasn't really. Hey, guess what?
No.
I'm going for a piss.
Okay.
Entertain the audience, why don't you?
I'll do that, because I do have something to bring up.
All right. Does it have anything to do with voiceovers, or just about how much of a dick I am?
Voiceovers, but it's always nice to have some other subject if I run out of steam.
Cool. I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, see ya. So anyway, as you can tell, this is a holiday in Denmark where apparently we celebrate that Christ ascended to the heavens or something. To those of us who don't believe in that, it's just a day off. Lots of people also have tomorrow off at work, trolls included. I don't. I would have to use some of my vacation to do that, and I don't feel like it because I just took a week off to move and shit like that. Anyway, we got a point from Kevin over on the IRC channel, which is that BioWare, who did the Mass Effect games, I believe, have got an audio system where it plays conversation bites for the other actors, even though they're recorded separately. So they if they don't have audio available, apparently they start off with a synthesized voice, and then they just swap that out with the lines as they're actually recorded. So the actors in the Mass Effect games, I would say there is very natural dialogue present, do kind of provide the ability for the actors to act off against one another. So it is apparently a thing. I agree very much that LucasArts did it very well and Sierra didn't. But, you know, in the case of those two companies pitted against one another, there was also a differing level of professionalism. In Sierra's court, largely none, and in LucasArts' court, they just had great actors at their disposal because they paid for the bills. You know, looking at you, Ken. So Gareth is trying to join. He says he's on the Hangout page and he is unable to join. So I'm just gonna see in awkward silence if I can help him do that. And apparently my co-host is back. So yeah, I just uncovered the meaning of life, and we're gonna see what we can do to help poor Gareth join because he's not getting a notification. Now, could you try inviting him again? He's over on Google Plus.
I will totally do that, and I'm very anxious to see what kind of lies you were espouting to our dear listeners. You know,
I actually kept it to the subject.
Really?
And I established that you are a major dick.
Oh, cool, cool. So we were keeping within, you know, the realms of truth.
Yeah, Yeah, we always do.
Awesome.
We always do. No, I just brought up some stuff that Kevin brought up over on the IRC channel. Apparently, BioWare. There is no need for me to repeat this. Just go listen to the episode when we release it.
I will, obviously. Okay, cool. Another thing that I want to bring up while we're waiting for shit is that Toma Garrell, you know, the dude from the Patreon hangouts over at Memory Block. Yeah, that you know, the dude from Israel, the guy who always drinks when I say fuck. He said that
that's better than the guy who fucks when you drink.
The guy who fucks when I drink. Wow, that
guy who fucks.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, that dude says that. Sorry for referring to you as that dude. That dude says that while we were lamenting the loss of iMuse as a sort of archaic kind of thing back in the 90s, the kind of thing that adapts to, you know, the music that adapts to whatever the game is doing. He says that a game like Tron 2.0, which I've never played and I never even, you know, had any sort of peripheral acquaintance of, apparently that thing does the same thing. It kind of has this iMuse kind of thing. I just wanted to bring that up because I promised to say that someone in the modern day has actually made a game that it kind of does the same thing that iMuse does, but I've never played it, and I don't care to.
I don't think I've played it either. Kevin pointed out, for those of you who were listening before while my lovely co-host was pissing his pants out, that BioWare...
I took those off.
BioWare's system for having actors act against each other is apparently called Vader. So they probably did it when doing the Old Republic games, he points out. And Gareth is angry about not being invited. Either that or...
I'm inviting... I could not invite his ass more. Tell the dude to fucking add backseat designers to his fucking circles. I will invite his fucking ass. Sorry for swearing, kids.
On the fucking his ass is on the fucking IRC channel, so...
That's not the same thing.
He's not seeing anything. Dude, you're a social media consultant. Why don't you...
I cannot do the work that Google is supposed to do for me. I have invited his ass 7 times.
But where can he find the invite?
Well, in his fucking stream. Where else? I don't care. All right, moving things along, because I hate dead air, and I might just snap this fucking thing off my neck. Those of you listening to the audio portion,
ambiguity.
Sorry. Yes. Actually, Fred, why don't you explain what the fuck is hanging off my neck?
It appears to be a
parasite.
It appears to be a cylindrical, wavy object of a fairly solid structure, and he just ripped it off. That's gotta hurt.
I got it!
Yeah. He's got the head of it between his fingers.
It's got wires in it.
Yeah. This is like Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Oh my god, it's going for me! It didn't actually go for me. Everyone who's listening, I'm fine. I'm really just, oh my god!
And it is just a microphone, by the way. It's not really a penis.
As
far as we know.
No, because then I would actually be enjoying it.
Yeah, dead air. So apparently Gareth is not able to get his shit together.
Everyone does not have. Okay, this hangout, this episode is. My objective opinion is this is the worst episode we've ever done.
It's amazing
this
that
is by far the stupidest, most atrocious, unplanned. I mean, you know, our thing is unplanned. This is the worst piece of shit we've ever done. I am over this.
I do, in fairness, think we have talked about some decent shit with what we've got. I mean, we've got some good points going, but it could have been so much better if we knew that was what we were going to talk about. But that it's kind of endearing. In my opinion, the worst episode we ever did was the one that got lost because
Oh my God!
I was in
that one was awesome. That one was stellar, and
Yeah,
it was my fault that it got lost.
But that's the fucking problem. My point is, I was in a rough time at my life. My girlfriend has broken up with me, and everyone is
girlfriend again.
everyone is saying to me, you should move on, you should do this, you should keep being backseat designers. I was very clear about it. I said, we're going on a break, but then I got convinced, okay, I need this thing in my life. I need this good friend.
You do realize we're still on the air, right?
And then for the love of fucking God, the thing gets lost. I was, I walked away happily from that thinking, I did it. I did an episode. I pulled myself up from the depressive dreck and did a fucking episode. And then guess fucking what? We didn't do a fucking episode.
Okay, so this is kind of symptomatic, because whenever we do a lost episode, it means that you're going through something terrible in your life.
Yeah, this. I'm not going through something terrible right now.
Well, you are right now. This is fucking terrible.
That's true. Apart from until now, I was doing fairly well.
This is actually horrible. Things are stuck to my head. I am completely over this. We were having a very nice discussion, and I don't know why I'm carrying on like I am, because we were actually having a very. Can we get back to that discussion, please? Because that was actually very nice.
You don't think the episode sucks?
It only does because I went off on a tangent.
Well, it does because people stand us up. No one wants to play.
There's that. It's
a wonder that we got the season closer, and that kind of made up for the lost episode anyway. But it's a wonder we got that shit together. How many guests? Like 7 or something. How the fuck? We can't even get one guy in today, but we could get 7.
We got like 7 illustrious people in the room, and not one fucking nameless guy. Bjørn Rørbæk Pedersen, you piece of shit! I'm looking at you.
I thought he was called Anders, wasn't he?
What?
Isn't Anders Bjørn Rørbæk Pedersen?
All right.
Who usually goes by the moniker of Scrambled Eggs.
I dearly love this person, by the way. I'm not just calling him out. I'm not being an absolute bastard. Why are we? Okay, so this tangent. I'm sorry. We're still on the air. Backtracking. What were we talking about?
I think about voices and stuff, but I think we kind of said what we wanted to say on the subject.
Yeah, didn't we?
What this? If I get.
Oh wait! I want to bring up one thing, which is that voices in adventure games in particular, are very dependent on the sort of voice talent you choose for the game. An example of a game that is so shitty you didn't expect it to have as good voice talent as it did, that would be Inherit the Earth. Have you ever played that?
No, I'm sad to say I haven't.
It's a really, really shitty adventure game, and I mean shitty as in puzzle design and as in execution and stuff. It's really, they tried their best, but what's really amazing about that game is the voice acting is stellar. It's fantastic. Everyone just has their own character. They have their own, because it's this anthropomorphic kind of animal kingdom, where the badgers and the boars and the foxes and so they all have their own voices. It's really, really well done.
Yes,
the voice cast is just fantastic.
Right? Yeah.
Sorry.
It's that furry game, right? And I mean, I do not mean any, it ain't all whips and chains. So I mean no disrespect, but it is a furry game.
If you go by the designer's game, whose name, by the way, is a single name like Cher or kind of those. His name is Talon, I think. Whatever. The dude claims that he's not part of the furry community, and he didn't even know about the furry community when he wrote the game. Fuck that. That's awesome. The game is an absolute piece of shit. The voice acting is absolutely amazing, and other parts of the games I quite enjoyed, but we'll get to that later. That is an example of a game that has stellar voice acting, where the voice acting actually helps you move the game along despite the atrocious game design. Conversely, you have games like the Orion Conspiracy. Hi, Ikifu. How you doing? I have to bring that up. Have you ever played the Orion Conspiracy, my dear co-host?
Nothing you refer to at this moment, no.
No?
I you know, this
certainly
is my big fucking secret. I have, outside of the mainstream stuff like Sierra and LucasArts and, you know, the titles that everyone knows and love, I have played few adventure games. You know, for some reason, I never really bothered to step out of the mainstream. So I'm extremely qualified for this. Extremely.
I fucking love the Orion Conspiracy because it has this atrocious voice cast, really, really bad. And the game itself is not that good either, but at least it has a couple of things going for it. Nice, high resolution backgrounds, nice character development. By the way, I mean, all things considered, but the voice acting is just horrendous, and it really just is a detriment to the playing experience. It becomes a B movie, even though I suspect they kind of were going for a B movie feel. This kind of notches it down to like a C or D movie kind of feel. Can you think of a game? And I don't mean like games like I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream or some such. Can you think of a game where you were actually into this thing, you were really into this thing, where you just wished you could turn the voices off?
I think at times, and I want to say this doesn't go for the whole game, but Beneath a Steel Sky has some great performances, and it has some fairly wooden acting too. It's kind of hit and miss. Some of the voices are
my heart
aren't.
My heart, you stabbed me.
Some of the voices are great, and some of them aren't. You have to be objective here, and
I can't be objective. This is fucking Beneath the Steel Sky. All right, okay. Objectively, I'm going to divorce myself of any infatuated opinions that I might have with Beneath the Steel Sky. What were your opinions on the voice cast?
I think a guy like Lamb comes off as if he's just shouting.
He's supposed to. Okay, sorry.
But again, it's just sounds, and I think part of the reason why we've been over this too. The lines of text have these all capital words to emphasize.
Drinking heavily now.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Okay, they replicate the.
They're
comic
supposed
book.
to do that.
They replicate the comic book feel of the feel of reading a comic book. So it makes sense that you've got certain words and certain lines being emphasized. Trouble is that the voice acting, I have noticed, almost constantly emphasizes different words, which is probably why it feels so off-kilter to many people.
But they're actually acting. The thing I love about Beneath the Steel Sky, and in turn the first Broken Sword game, is that they are actually acting. I mean, you can say a lot of bad things about the cast in the Broken Sword, the first Broken Sword game.
Yeah.
But at least they make a fucking effort.
They do. And the people in Beneath the Steel Sky certainly make an effort. I'm not knocking the game to that extent. And again, it's not the entire game I have a problem with. I'm just saying that some of the voice work in that game is hit and miss. Mostly it's hit. But
I love those.
Notice,
okay.
whenever you have your Virginia Capers or your Uncle Wolfgang in the Gabriel Knight 1 remake, you just want to turn the whole thing off. It really only takes one stinger to ruin the overall impression.
We should talk about the narrator voice. We should really talk about the idea that the narrator is a voice. I know we're wrapping things up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep you going.
I don't have as much time as you do, so as long as you remember that. But if we can walk in a straight line from now on, I'm game.
Do we have it? Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Because I look like fucking, like Holly from Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Cool. The narrator voice in computer games, should that or should that not be a voice actually acting out, because we've gone through the Virginia Capers thing, which people usually turn off if they have their sanity, and on the other side you've got Gary fucking Owens in Space Quest, who is the best narrator of all. You wanna keep playing that game just to hear his fucking voice.
Owens is the only guy to really nail this, I feel.
But you got John Rhys Davies in Quest for Glory.
Off Virginia Capers, because Virginia Capers has a very lovely and relaxing voice.
And he just put a gun to his head, people on the audio stream. But again, you've got John Rhys Davies reading Quest for Glory 4. You've got these, very, very lustrous kind of narrators, like narrate. The word narrator means someone who's pleasant to listen to while he describes the action on screen.
I would love to have Brian Blessed narrate an adventure game.
But why would you have... Okay, here's my point. Why would you have an adventure game be silent? Why would you have the narrator voice be silent instead of having it read out?
I suppose the narrator it's kind of like reading a script, reading a movie script where you have, all the lines from all the characters centered, and then closer to the margin of the page, you have these instructions about what happens physically during the scene. And I guess that's kind of the narrator voice. And if you read through a script for a play or for a movie or for a TV show, what fucking ever, then it's logical that you read out the lines with the different voices of the characters, whereas the instructions you usually don't read out. You just think, oh, this happens. So if you compare that with an adventure game, it makes sense to leave the narrator silent, I'd say. But I like there being a voice, provided it's the right voice. Infamous Quests, God bless them, didn't really hit the Space Quest narrator voice well at all with their Space Quest 2 remake. I'm not.
That point aside,
you could tell that remake was done with a lot of love, but they just went, okay, we can't hire Gary Owens. We have to have something that sounds like Gary Owens. Our actor who will be doing this has a slightly more high-pitched voice. We'll have to pitch him down when he does his best Gary Owens impression. And this thing just fell apart. God bless, I love the game, guys. Really, no harm done, but it fell apart for me. I would wish I could bring that guy up.
No, because this is a conversation about casting, and I want to move this back because you said something very profound. You said something very interesting. You said something, dare I say, academically interesting, which is that the voice of the narrator could either be describing what you're actually doing, and by that by that definition being sort of the boring, you pick this shit up, you go left, oh my god, something happened. Or you could be an integral character, an integral part of the conversation. And if you are the latter, if you are an integral part of the narrative that's being driven forward, then you deserve a voice.
That's
if
true.
You're not, then someone just says, okay, and you open the door, and you shove the piece of paper under the door to retrieve the key. Fuck you. That doesn't need a voice.
But having written a bunch of this stuff myself for a couple of games, sometimes there is nothing else to say than you open the door or you pick up the bottle, which is a line I wrote incidentally.
But you can still make that interesting. There is... one thing that really annoys me about adventure game designers, adventure game writers, is the fact that they're fucking lazy. When they just tell you open the door, right? Well, you show them open the door, and the door opens. Wow! But you can actually. This is the point. This is why this is an advancement between the classic literary thing, written words and such, to the interactive. The door doesn't just open; it does a creaking sound. The air wafts through the door. You have this sort of sensory perception, things that you cannot describe with just the visual and the auditory medium. This is why the narrator's in the fucking game.
but do too much of a good thing at times. And I have a personal anecdote that fits well into this, because as you probably know, I was studying to be a teacher at one point, and we were basically taught how to tell a story in front of kids or in front of adolescents. You know, storytelling is a major part of certain schools in the Danish school system, right? You know, telling a story or telling an anecdote or telling about something historical is a big fucking deal. And it's difficult to pull off, right? So there was a course on that. And we had this guy on my team when we did the course who was always lamenting that when many of us told stories, we just told what happened. And we tried to do so engagingly, but we didn't feel like we wanted to, you know, again, as you have said about text adventures, we didn't want to specifically put images into people's heads. We wanted to say what happened, but we didn't want to go, he looks like this, he has a voice that's like this, his eyes are blue, you know, whatever. And I think with too much, there is a waft of wind in your face, your hair is blowing back, it's all about ethics and game journalism. Too much of that feedback, I think it runs kind of sour. I mean, even Gary Owens had you scoop up some slime or something to that extent. Even Gary Owens had boring lines. And I suppose someone thought that kind of had to be there because it is a form of feedback. But you know,
he still had his role as a narrator, and he did not abuse his role as a narrator. He never went, okay.
You should go play the Silver Lining, and within the span of 5 minutes, I shit you not, you will take back everything you said. Because
I will never play a King's Quest game, you piece of shit.
Every single thing, every single interaction, every single click event triggers a novel. There is a setting in the game that allows you to shorten narrator lines. Does it do anything? Not as far as I could tell, because the narrator lines were still so long that I pretty much fell asleep during a couple of them. Again, love you dearly.
And that is so not what I'm saying. The thing I'm saying is that we've come a long way from the olden days of text adventures and you open a door, you see a grue, the grue might eat you. We've come to the point where you can actually tell the player the door was so and such, you feel sort of fearful, and you can actually set a scene for the player that you cannot describe in visual medium. That's the role of the narrator. If you don't have a narrator, then it is up to the protagonist to describe the world around him as he sees fit. And this is my point that I keep going back to. If you have a protagonist that's describing the world around him, it seems awkward, if not completely insane, for him to describe, I just opened a door, the air walked through reminds me of maggots. It's just weird to have this guy just standing around going, wow, I just opened a door. This is very strange to me.
Yeah.
That's the role of the narrator. It's not to unnecessarily explicate everything that happens around you at length. It's just to actually be a fucking narrator.
But thing is that, will you stop shouting? You know,
I am shouting because I'm drunk.
I'm pretty sure they apply compression to this thing, so it's fucking constant. Anyway, Gareth pointed out on IRC that simple underplaying will work if it fits into the narrative. You know, again, back to immersion. I would say if it fits, then go for it. I don't think there are set rules about how to do a narrator. Certainly not. I agree with you that you can do some pretty interesting things with it, and you need to know what to apply and where to apply it for it to work. Definitely.
I think my IRC crashed.
It probably did. But that's IRC for you. Broken since the mid-90s. Or like late.
Since. No? Okay.
I didn't actually see that because I was going back to the IRC channel to see if mine had crashed. You know, maybe it's an internet-wide IRC crash. Maybe the NSA had enough of our bullshit.
Nah, which is screwed. Anyway, I think I might have taken up too much of your time. Anyway, this has been a very interesting discussion, though. Something that we should carry over in our third part if our invited guest should ever think to
I don't know.
Indulge himself to join.
Next time when you're down in Aldi buying shit beer, could you pick up a shit microphone for him?
I've got one here.
Oh yeah, you've got that. That's a start. It's better
There
than
you go.
stuff.
There it is.
Yeah.
This just fell off my head.
This is what our Patreon allows us to get for our guests. You know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. If you go to patreon.com/backseat designers, you can buy me a new thing to put in my mouth.
Yeah.
Or you can just send me a hat. I'm cool. Just
At this point, we're just doing the spiel, aren't we? If you enjoyed this episode, God forbid,
but you didn't.
go to backseatdesigners.com and read more about where to find us. Specifically, we have a Facebook group called Backseat Designers. We have a Twitter account called BS Designers. We have an RC channel called Backseat Designers. It's on Freenode, and there's a web client on our website that'll take you there. As you mentioned, we have a Patreon. Did I mention Twitter? We're on Twitter as
you did. Yeah. But you're very, very good at this. I might want to hug you.
We are.
I'm hugging you. I'm hugging you. Oh.
I'm back. As of this moment, we're still on Twitter as BS Designers, and because of our Patreon, we are contractually obliged to thank the man of $8, Mr. Steven Alexander of Infamous Quest, who is currently crying.
That's the one.
Yeah. Thank you, Steven.
Hi, Steven.
After this, we're probably down to $0.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
Because this is actually our reverse psychology kind of thing. We want you to not give us our money. Please don't go to patreon.com. Would someone just please shoot me? Because this is not working.
No, this is not working. This is not how you don't know how to sell.
And I have a degree in this shit. This is just awful. I'm just going to go away now.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going away now. Can you see me?
I suppose this is what happens when David Letterman does a show and none of the guests turn up.
You have never seen me. I'm now away.
Yeah. While you're back there looking like something from a Gary Newman vid, I'll just sign off and get started with the audio version. But see you next week.
Cool.
Actually, we're doing a BSD Plays this Saturday.
We are?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's cool. Because on Saturday, we're going to be playing something that Fred wants us to play a lot.
Yeah, we're going to play something called Blackout. And I'll talk a bit more about the game when we get there. Event time is still to be announced, I suppose, but keep a check on our social media and on the RSC channel, and we'll spam you with notices about it, basically.
And also, we won't invite. I'm sorry, we won't invite anyone.
Invite anyone in.
Because they won't fucking show up.
Angry, very angry.
Angry face. All right. I'm going to do the angry face and then fade off into the distance. Can you see this?
Anyway, till next BSD Plays, man. See ya.
See ya. Pleasure.
No more for today.